let's just make a real quick pass at it. We're going to be on page Reish Gimel, but we'll start just by reading it again, the top line. So he said, Bekitfui de Katvin, which he says at the Gulgulta. Now you're looking into, he's giving us a view, the most panimistic place that we could possibly understand is the Kitrin, Beruchan Sarivin the Masklem Yaakov. There is some concept of a vapor or a ruach, some sort that's bound to the concept of the balance scale, which is the masculine. And the masculine in plural is these three elements, which are the Yud, K, and the Vav. Now the Yudi law, he says, the is Ater Bekitra. So its beginning point, because I'm trying that idea that Ater, the crown, means the very incipience of where this starts. So he said Bekitra, and the question is, what is a Kitra? So it's a Kitra de Tika. He says, what is this Kitra de Tika? So he says now again, and he says, let me just answer it. He kruma ilod the hizdakik vasasim. So this is some kind of a covering, which is very panimistic to the muchastimor, that becomes as a result of its relationship with everything that is going inside the muchastimor. It becomes very, very refined, the saucin, but it closes up the muchastimor. Hey Elah, then we talked about this, the Hey Elah. This Ata Berucha de Nukvin the Pardashkim, once again, that's the place, this Hey Elah, somehow it exists, and it becomes the beginning of this Ruach that comes through the nose. The Nafek La'achaya, and that Ruach is really, really right there. If you could grab a hold of it, so to speak, you could do a tremendous amount of good. The chiyus that we're talking about here is represented by the Vavi law. This Vavi law, he says, is the Butzne de Cardenusa, this Ate Besitroi that becomes crowned, or where its beginning is in the 6 ketzvos of Zeranpin. That's what he said in the Pira. So we are going to number Yud Bet, I believe, in the notes here, and we're going to try to get an idea of where these ideas came from. Ray Beor Yakar, he says, Vizel Shono, Vavi Law Butzine de Cardenusa. Now, we learned things about the Butzine de Cardenusa before. So he said, Pirush, who sowed Hadas on the Elam Bekesser Elyon. Now, we're going into the very beginning of what we could perceive possibly as the origins of reality, which is the Das, and he said it before, there's a Yaakov there. And he says that an Elam Bekesser Elyon, who misatzer b'menu, and this actually develops out or appears from this place. So mispashet beso the chatzilus, and when ultimately, because Eric Anpin is really the root of Atzilus. So he says imemenu mispashet beso the chatzilus, and it actually spreads. And this actually what spreads into is the secret of Atzilus, the Atzilus, which is a partzuf, or an oilam, v'hu sod kav hamida. And this is the secret, what he's talking about, this vav. He says this vav is really the secret of the measure, of the balance line. He says, there's a lot more in the back, of course, probably. So now the Groa is, I'm just refreshing my mind here, because it's been a while. And the Groa is intimately involved in all these explanations, Khan. He said, Now we didn't learn that. That is what is Das. Das is the middle line. It is the line of all balance that spreads throughout the goof of Eric Anpin, Kumavur, Bezoy Rachadash, Maimer Kav Hamida. So there's a Va'od. Of the Mavu Sharm, the Mavu Sharm also comes over and says, Shadas mispashet bekal gufa, that the das spreads throughout the whole body. Umalia idrim v'achsadrayim, so all the empty spaces and the different places, it fills them all up. Kamoshe ne'amar, u'v'das chadarim yimlu'u. So he's a das, fills up the spaces. V'moshe amar be'idra rabba, like we said in the idra rabba be'idra zuta ad kan. So we had this idea over there. V'rei mashin is boyer b'devara b'ha'aros the birach meshul the ficha groa ein sham v'rei od b'ha'arah. Now the thing is that we are, and he's going to go into it. He says that is a stira to what we learned before, which is that the origin of the letter Vav is actually coming from Atik, and it comes from the Gevurah of Atik. But he's going to go through that. So that was number Yud Bet, and let's agree to Yud Bet. And he said Mitzad Gevuras the Das. And where is exactly, how does it come out? It's called this, he says, because of the left side of Das. The Das is split, so therefore on the left side of Das. Let's look at number Yud Gimel down below, and let's see if we can pick that one up. So he said, that's what I just was saying, because we had learned this previously in the Idras, that the origins of the Das is, what we're talking about, is in the Gevurah the Atik, Haganas toch mocha de Erik Anpin, Nikra Butzine de Cardenusa Bekal Makom. So it's always this Das of Atik, which is coming from a very high place, I guess Das is part of the Rachel Isyada, but he says, or maybe not, maybe we see a little bit better because it's related to the goof, to the Zat of Atik, which we talk about. But so what it actually means is a strong light, a long light. Well, let's say ner, a candle, fire. Let's say it like that. Because the candle, the flame, is fire. And it's not considered to be, there's a difference between, he wants to say, between fire, heat, and light. Light goes along with the concept of chasadim. This is something different. This is a fire, this is a candle. The flame, I'm trying to think of right the word, because candle doesn't sound good enough to me. But let's just say it's a ner, and the ner is eish. That's what it means. It's a fire, the very powerful fire, mitzad the Gevurah, and it comes onto the side of Gevurah. Actually, it comes, he says, from the Gevurah of Atik. But now we're looking at Erik Anpin. Va'amnam shar Gevuras, all the rest of the Gevuras, hey Gevuras the Das, he says the 5 Gevuras of Das, Efsher sheyikbrach became b'shem butzene de Cardenusa. He says that it could be that the Gevuras that are inside of this Das that we're talking about, which is the middle line which spreads into all of the spaces, empty spaces in Erik Anpin, and fills up the goof of the Erik Anpin. In the Cardenusa, so that we called it that because its origin, they relate to each other. This Gevurah from Atik winds up in the Gevurah of this place, which is very, very, very beginning sort of idea, the very beginning of everything. It winds up in that left line, the left part of the split line of the middle of Erik Anpin. Adkan v'rei gamba aras the biro meshula the v'agro shenizbar gam came al pi the v'divragro bekamba becomes the das nikra butzin the Cardenusa, and he told us the reason why, because in the left side of das, that's where you see the flow that's coming from Atik. The Cardenusa, Mitzad Itra, the Gevuras, the Das, and then it comes into there. Now, looking at the time, let me just see how much. Oh, let's do number Yodalit. We still have Yodalit. Now, up above, going back up above. So we had the phrase Nikra Butzani the Cardenusa. That's up there at up above. Mitzad Gevuras of the Das, because it comes from the concept of the Gevuras of Das. The is anter besitrui. So the question is, and he answered it, it becomes the very beginning, the incipients of the citroi. What's the citroi? And up above he says, which is the os vav, shall das mispashid beguf Erik Anpin misanter beshisha kitzvos. So it becomes the origin of all the 6 kitzvos. And I think we could read the next one, number Yudalid. So number Yud Daled, getting into this, let me see where it goes. Yud Daled Tesvav, okay. He said, but the Fus Rishon, original publication here, which came from Mantoba, Bashar Defusim, and all the rest of the publishers, Nosef Khan, they add something in here. Svar Mecherim, he says, Itrui, when he said the Itrui, okay, so we're all working on this word Itrui, and I told you what I think that we could use, is Bahadras Melech, Shabir Kagirsazu, and so we see what he was explaining could be found in the back, and we're going to see it more. Ein Sham. So he said of a Rei Gam Ma Shabir Bezecha Bezel Yochai, Umavoyim Devarim Sham, and explains more of Rei Mashin is Boyer Od Baharas the El Sham, the Yesh Makam the Farish Girsazu Gam Lefi Bir Haor Yakar. He didn't really tell us much shot there, just once again telling us some background on it. So I think we're going to stop here, and because the next one, let me see the next one if I got this right. It's pretty long, and because I would like to get through this and get into the back, but we have to do what we got to do. So let me close this down now, and we'll go over to the Miluyim that we were talking about yesterday.